5 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order. The Water Commission on July 21st, 2025. Who's this road repair one? The Lowe's.
Well, we're buying materials.
Oh, that's just material?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
just keeping.
Right.
names not on it.
Oh, good catch. That was from last year.
Have the members had a chance to review the minutes of the last meeting?
I did.
Any comments?
Negative.
Mark,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
did you have any comments on
No.
Terry's minutes? I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
And you have that. I reviewed it before, I didn't have anything either. Warrants being signed, no abatements tonight. We just have
Yes, just once.
the encumbrance for, is the ad for the treatment plant. Okay, and sign that. That's done, and moving on, we will go to James Hoyt, Tater and Howard for our project updates.
All right, so we're gonna start with Sarah Norman. As you know, we're quickly approaching the SRF deadline date, which is, technically our extension is through July 31st. However, the SRF drop dead deadline is August 31st. So once we have clarification on the appropriation issue, then we need to submit another extension request to DEP with the date. We may just send one extending it to the 31st regardless.
Yeah.
But Patricia Arp is, very closely monitoring the appropriation. So I got a schedule here I just want to hand out.
The last series of the emails I saw, it sounded like they were coming up with a way of
He was, so.
of doing the language for the appropriation that we wouldn't need to go through the special town meeting, correct?
Yeah.
That was the last
Town
email.
council was supposed to speak with Patricia Arp.
But we don't know if that's happened.
So we do. So
Oh, we do,
after I put
okay.
this together, actually, we heard from Patricia Arp. So she spoke, I believe, with town council, and her takeaway was that town council was leaning towards issuing a letter saying that the appropriation may be used for construction, as opposed to requiring a special town
Good.
meeting.
Okay.
And that her impression from that conversation is that bond council was also willing to write the same letter. So she talked to her boss at SRF, and they all have agreed that if we get those two letters, the SRF program would be satisfied that the appropriation is all set. So just kind of what I've laid out here, is just kind of talk through with you what we're thinking and get your impression on it. And then obviously you can let us know any alterations that you'd like to it. But just as a, hi.
Correcting the joint.
So, just as kind of a reminder, I will be on vacation starting this Friday, and I'll be out for 2 weeks. Right in the prime time when we're
Yeah.
trying to award this, which is, part of the reason why, Jenna wanted to come tonight was just, so if I'm gone and things come up that, you guys are always welcome to contact Jenna anytime, but especially, in my absence.
Yep.
And then also, so she's kind of, aware of what your desired plan is through award. So up top, I just kind of have a reminder of the important dates, the sub-bid opening that already happened. The general bid opening is this Wednesday afternoon. And then ultimately, the date that matters is August 31st for the principal forgiveness. So the award approach that we've kind of laid out that we wanted to kind of go over with you shows us opening the bids on Wednesday and then us immediately beginning our due diligence and the process to recommend award. And then we would submit a letter with our recommendation to you essentially a week from Wednesday. And then hopefully that gives you enough time to, on the board meeting on the August 4th, I assumed you guys were gonna hold that date as your first Monday of August. I don't know if you've set that date yet.
Well, it's not, it's in the list of dates we always set it at the end of each prior
Okay.
meeting, but
August
So-
4th.
it will be August 4th, will be our next
Okay.
meeting.
So our recommended approach there, just because we know in order to award this project, we need SRF approval to award. And for them to do that, they need to see our recommendation to award, but they're also gonna hold up award until the appropriation issue is dealt with. And we don't wanna put ourselves in a position where we get that letter from DEP on August 28th, and all of a sudden, you guys aren't
too late.
meeting, and you have to all come in. So our suggestion would be at the August 4th meeting, you could sign the notice of award, leave it undated, and then stipulate that you're awarding the project contingent on Mass DEP approval. So we just want to make sure DEP knows we're not putting the cart before the horse, we're not moving forward without their approval.
Yeah.
But also be prepared so when their approval does come in, we don't have to get you all together again. So that's our recommendation, how, obviously, you can let us know what you're comfortable with. And then the next step after we issue the notice of award is to request bonds and insurance from the contractor. And they oftentimes will not do that step until they have the notice of award. So we can ask the general contractor very nicely to see if they'll get started on their bonds and insurance, but a lot of times they want that notice of award in hand before they go out and procure those documents, which is not an unreasonable request on their part. So similarly, you have the option to sign but not date the notice to proceed in the contract agreement, and then that would be contingent not only on DEP's authorization, but also contingent on us receiving the bonds and insurance from the contractor. And that's why I wrote this all out, so that you kind of have this language in front of you, August 4th. If you like this approach, then you kind of use this as your blueprint. And then here I have the note, the special town meeting. We're now hopeful, instead of TBD, it's never, that you're gonna get a couple letters, and that's gonna speed things up. And then once we have the appropriation approved by SRF, we have the notice, the recommendation of award, we, on your behalf, would then request authorization from DEP to award the project. They say yes, we immediately forward that to the contractor, request their bonds and insurance, we ask them to expedite it, and then hopefully that all happens prior to August 31st. So it's, it's doable, but it's a lot to do. So that's why we're hoping you feel comfortable on August 4th, approving some of these things conditionally, as I've kind of outlined here. That all sound reasonable, make sense?
Makes sense. I'm wondering if we need to do the notice to proceed in the agreement on the 4th, or if that could wait till our meeting on the 3rd of the month, the third Monday.
So that would be.
Because the bonds and insurance are actually part of the agreement
Correct.
anyway. They'll go getting for them after the notice of award, not the notice to proceed, correct? Typically.
Right,
So we do that with the notice of award, that goes to them, they can get started on their bonds and insurance. You still have to get the letters in from, unless we got the letters from, and the approval from DEP prior to the 4th, I think maybe do that, the notice of award on the 4th, have the notice to proceed and agreement ready to go for the,
Okay, on the
whatever that,
17th or whatever.
whatever the next meeting after
Okay.
that would be, rather than doing all of those
Yeah, that's
contingent on, and then if there is some kind of a tie-up, but not that there will be. But then we can kind of get that moving ahead.
Okay. Yep, that's reasonable.
DEP knows about this job?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're in contact with Patricia Arp pretty much nonstop at this point as we approach the finish line. You know, they, in our opinion, put you guys in a pretty tough spot by getting that appropriation last October and then not looking at it until 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't know if Mark's aware of the process, but you really can't do anything. You can think about building a treatment plant, but you can't do anything without DEP's approval, and there are stops along the way where you're stopped, waiting for them. It's not, there's a whole process. We've already done piloting to get to this point. There's a lot that's occurred through the years getting here.
And we still have to hit
Yeah, so we
a
cleared all
couple
the
of things
technical
right in
hurdles.
to get that done in before the 31st.
Right, yeah, so we cleared all the technical hurdles in advance of our, you know, goals, but unfortunately, the SRF, you know, path has been a little bit tougher with them, but you know, hopefully, we're turning in the right direction.
$10 in the jar.
I guess while we're talking Sear Norman, just, you know, an update on the bidding. We did issue an addendum Friday that addressed all the outstanding questions we had received from contractors, which, you know, good for you, bad for us, it's been a ton of questions. So it
Means
shows
they're paying
us-
attention and they're looking at it.
Yeah, it shows us that there's a lot of interest. It shows that they're sharpening their pencils and taking it, you know, seriously. Questions from multiple different contractors. So it's been a lot of work, but it's been worthwhile because it, you know, it should result in competitive pricing on Wednesday. One of the big things in the addendum was we added a second tight tank for the sump pumps. I don't know if the rest of the board is aware, but it kind of came up first, I guess, through our Board of Health permitting, but then a little bit more firmly at the planning board meeting. You know, long story short, the sump pumps in the building, their primary job right now is to handle drainage off the aeration tower during the winter. So, long story short, there's the inlet to the aeration tower is above ground. So there's a temperature sensor in that pipe where if the plant is off and the water's not flowing and the temperature of that water goes below freezing, then it opens a valve to drain that. And it's throttled through a small ball valve into the sump in the pipe gallery, and the sump pump then pumps that out. So we have that going to the storm water because it's just, you know, your raw well water. However, during the permitting process, it came up that if there is a spill on the main level, it goes into the drain trench on the main level, which goes to the same sump as our sump in the basement. And there was concern of potential contamination of the stormwater system if, you know, if a sprinkler head breaks and collects whatever dirt's on the floor on its way to the trench, or if there was a chemical or some other spill that somehow got out of the chemical containment area. So, you know, we took those notes and thought the most, you know, cautious approach was to send those sump pumps to a tight tank as opposed to the, you know, stormwater system. And where you are in a zone 1, you are adjacent to your drinking wells. We didn't think it was, you know, an unreasonable, you know, request to do so. So that was kind of the biggest ticket item in that addendum, if you will. So just so you know, Wayne, that tight tank will hold about 20 days or so of drainage from that aeration tower.
How many gallons is that?
It's about 4,000 gallons.
Is that considered clear water waste that would be in that pipe from the aeration tower?
Yes, it's essentially untreated well water. There's no real potential for contamination. It's coming from the wells into your water piping. You know, that same water, when it gets through the aeration tower, goes right into your wet well, where it gets, you know, treated and out. It's clean water, but it can become contaminated if there's another source of contamination within the building envelope. So that was the need for the change. But we wanted to make sure we didn't put a tiny little tight tank on, and next thing you know, in the middle of the winter, you gotta pump it out frequently. So I don't know how many consecutive nights we see, you know, temperatures that would cause the water to drop below freezing. So I'm guessing 20 days would actually get you through most of the winter. unless you get a real cold snap and you're not running this plant.
But otherwise, we'd have to split that off somehow and come up with something for, if, again, if the sprinklers,
mean,
if something gets washed down, anything else that went in there besides that, you wouldn't want to be kicking out into the stormwater system.
Exactly, that's
So
the.
you'd either have to redo something else to separate that to get it out ahead, which would be, change to the building, or do it with the tight tank. So it's probably the easiest and cheapest way to
Yeah.
deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, as we kind of go through construction, if you want to get rid of the tight tank, we can kind of brainstorm other solutions. We didn't think a bypass or an overflow would be allowed, because then if you decide to bypass to the stormwater because it's winter and then you get a spill, you gotta run over there and turn off the bypass, it kind of defeats the purpose of, the protection during a true emergency, unforeseen circumstances. I guess the other option is we could add a second sump in the basement and a second sump pump and split them that way, and that we can look at during construction and see if there's, a credit. But really what happened was, this kind of came out on Wednesday and our last addendum was due on Friday, so we had to take the, the conservative approach that would, accommodate all of the permitting concerns that were brought up.
So that drain back would be about 200 gallons, you said?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, it was like 204 gallons.
Do you have a copy of the questions they asked you?
Yeah, so they're all in the addendum, so those are all available, and, I think Wayne gets.
You got them, Wayne?
I don't know if I got those.
But you're a plan holder, so you said, all the
We should have gotten a copy of them as a.
amendments that go out should go to your inbox. But yeah, I can share the link. It's just a link you can click on and all the documents are in there. The as-built, the addendum, which include all the answers to the questions we've gotten.
No?
Those are all your file subs?
He missed the email.
Yeah, I don't think
July
that's
9th.
on that list.
Yeah, so the filed subs open July 9th. It's a little tricky to know the exact bottom line because a lot of the subs exclude some generals and not others. But for the most part, when we looked at them compared to the cost estimate, if we throw out all the ones who excluded others, it came in about 8% over our cost estimate for the subs. And it was really the electrical and the iron that were high. Everybody else was kind of right on the money, or some of them were even under our cost estimate. So if, for example, if Waterline wins, they use their own prices, then the sub cost will actually be under our cost estimate. So it's, the range of outcomes is anywhere from being, at or below our cost estimate to worst case being about 8% over our cost estimate for the subs.
You know roughly how many general bidders you expect?
I know we were just talking about that. We think that's probably about 10.
Be nice.
The guy up in Manley Street, is he qualified for?
Yep, so they were pre-qualified for the project as well. And we did get questions from them, so they seem to be interested in bidding it.
See, they're building Manley Street right now off of your last set of plans, so they know what to look for.
Yeah, I mean, I think, they're interested, they know the system already. They know the owner, and I think it'd be smart for them to go after it. I guess anything else on Sears Norman?
I think just so if we have, for the next board meeting, have the notice of award ready to, Addis ready to go, and then the notice to proceed and the agreement set for August 18th, the next
Sounds
meeting.
good. Yep, we'll do that. Like I said, we're gonna do our notice of award and our due diligence, so we can even get you a copy of the letter in advance of that meeting, so when you come in the 8th, you know, if you have time to look at it beforehand, you'll have the ability to do that.
Or I can come to the meeting on the 4th, just if something comes up, you know, I can come.
Considering all that's going on, it'd be good to have
That's-
somebody here, and we'll try to track down on those letters
Yeah,
to make sure those things.
and we'll be working the DEP end, if we get the letters, we'll be working them to see if we can get everything squared away
Yeah.
sooner.
Sooner rather than later
Sooner
is
rather-
better.
We would like to expedite it if we possibly can.
Sure.
So, yes, so I will be here.
Yeah, have you heard anything else about the letter since that last?
No, that went good.
We'll check on it. Try to keep pushing the rope and see if we can get that to continue to move ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if DEP talked to town council today and you haven't heard from town council, it might be a good idea to reach out to them eventually if they don't reach out to you. Just make sure that their impression of that phone conversation is the same as DEP's, so we don't have any potential miscommunication that sets us back a week.
Yeah. But I think you said there was something was gonna be required from town council and as well as from the bond council.
Exactly.
The last I heard was the bond council was okay,
Yeah.
so hopefully they just, one of the things I saw did say everybody was pushing the necessity of getting it done in the schedule, so hopefully it's moving forward.
Yeah, that's appreciated.
We'll make some phone calls tomorrow, and make sure that it's still going. Anything else on Sierra Norman?
No, it's going
We'll
fine.
see you here at 2 o'clock on Wednesday.
Yeah, so I think Katie, Kim, and 2 interns will be here. The interns, you know, they're just gonna be here to observe and see what we mean when we say bid opening.
Yeah.
Kind of get a feel for what procurement is under Massachusetts, you know, bidding laws.
You're trying to scare them out into a different profession is what you're trying to do?
You're pretty set up, you have the spreadsheet, I mean, it went pretty quickly last time.
Yeah.
And actually, there were more filed sub-bidders than we're probably gonna have for the general.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
sure.
it shouldn't be too bad.
All right, so
Okay, so that's
switching
your
over
Norman.
to Manley Street. So there is a little work going on this week. The welder's coming in to fix the support for the screen and the one tank we have offline. But to really kind of wrap things up, we're waiting to do the shutdown. And so the shutdown is gonna be when we have to take the plant down so we can drain and empty the other vessels and start doing the repair of those. And then ultimately, you know, get the chemical feed stuff all installed, get the instrumentation done, and try to do that all in as short a time as possible to limit the duration of the shutdown. So the timing of that is contingent on a few things. So one, you know, Wayne is down a well, which I think is out for back testing.
No, it's back up.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Is that fast?
I think I spoke with Barry or
Okay.
emailed him, yeah, on Friday, it's
Okay.
back up and running.
Perfect, all right, so then that hurdle's cleared. So then the next one is the chemical day tanks, like, should be the last lead items that they were waiting to get. And based on our meeting last Wednesday, those are supposed to arrive tomorrow. So then the other piece is the bag filters. I think Wayne's expressed that his preference would be to time the shutdown and the startup to include the installation of the bag filter. So we're currently waiting on information from the contractor on what the lead time is for that. And then depending on how quickly they can get the bag filter on site, then we'll kind of evaluate that. And if it's gonna be, you know, significantly longer than we were planning to wait, then we're gonna have to just come back to the drawing board and, you know, figure out whether there's a way to otherwise protect your investment that, you know, Wayne is comfortable moving forward, or, you know, the contractor's just gonna have to wait.
Well, you
then we'll
can
have-
come up without the PFAS building though. And that way you certify the part of it, like, and then we
That-
could test.
I say
Cause I
we,
know DEP's they're gonna want all kinds of tests.
Yeah,
And besides the new green sand, they're gonna wanna test the PFAS meteor also, so like there's tons of tests gonna occur. And then the thing goes down and just waits for the results to keep coming back.
Right, so I mean, that is also an option. If the lead time is, really crazy on the filter, we might have to go that path.
Right.
So essentially what we're talking about is, when we take it down and do all these upgrades, we have to check all these boxes with DEP before we can turn the plant back on. And if we take the plant down and do everything and bring it back on, we're doing that one time. But if we're not ready to bring the PFAS back online at that point, then we have to do this whole thing again once we're ready to start the PFAS. And it's just, I mean, honestly, the worst of it falls on Wayne, right? Because Wayne has to do all the, testing and paperwork. So, it's really, he bears the burden if we have to do it twice.
I'd rather protect the media
I understand.
than have somebody looking at me, or a whole town looking at us.
Yeah, so, Wayne was happy with the sketch, so we sent that over to the contractor for pricing. And as soon as we have a number and a lead time, we'll be back here to report on that. I guess on that topic, we still don't have a change order.
Well, that was where we're
but
going.
we do have, some additional information. We did some checking based on the feedback we got last time, so I'm gonna share that as well.
Are they done with that unit, or that's still not?
No, they're
So we still don't
taking
have
their sweet time.
we don't still have your blessed time and materials
That's
realistic
correct. Actually, while I'm up here, I'm
for
gonna
what
give
it's
you
gonna be.
this as well. Go over after. All right, so as requested, Barry, who's our construction manager, and he's been working, closely with the contractor. He did a little bit of homework on the, not only this labor burden and what it all means and where it all comes from and whether the percentages are in alignment with the standards. He also went through the procurement law and the prevailing wage rates basis of costs. And so the second page is kind of just like a snapshot of the prevailing wages as they were in the bid package. And we just pulled out two of the categories that were in that change order from BISCO originally. And so if you kind of look across the columns, there's the base wage, then there's the health, then there's the pension, and then the supplemental unemployment. So the supplemental unemployment is 0, so we kind of just ignored that. But then we looked into what does the prevailing wage include for the health and pension, and confirmed that none of that was being included in this labor burden, which is the front page. And we were able to confirm that those two categories, the health and the pension, are not double counting any of the items that are on this 68%. Barry also then went through several of the certified payrolls that we've received from BISCO over the course of the project, confirmed that the rates that were being claimed in the change order match what the certified payrolls are, and made sure that those also match prevailing wages, and that all checked out. The one thing he noted is that the site foreman is technically paid higher than just an operator, but that is to be expected as his role as a foreman, and prevailing wages acts as a minimum wage. It doesn't cap, the fact that his additional responsibility as foreman mean he's more expensive than just an operator.
So if we take the pay rec that was just in, that we're Holden right now, where they're showing the rate, it's the total rate that's here. Would be, so if I look up, they got 30 hours of a laborer, that rate's gonna be 64, 65 straight up. It's not, oh, that's it, I couldn't find it in the
I put
file.
it away so I can put this in.
When you have a labor foreman, he shouldn't be $110 an hour. All he is, you got a laborer that's 64. It's only a couple bucks higher for a labor foreman. You
And
can't,
that's
you
what-
can't bill out $110 an hour.
Okay, this
So
one,
what Barry did offer is if you're still not satisfied with these answers, that he's willing to facilitate a meeting where Wayne or a member of the board, you can sit down with him and the contractor and go through it. And we gave Bisco a heads up that if we know we don't have a change order for this yet, but based on your initial proposed change order, you know, the board has some questions about why some of your markups were.
If you wanna see any of the payroll
Is
costs,
he
they're
still
all
doing
in there.
the small tools? Is- All I got is it.
Yeah, we don't have a new change order from them. So when we complete the change order work under the time and materials basis, then that's when they're gonna submit the change order. But I would suspect there will still be charges for labor, equipment, and materials. And the equipment oftentimes will include tools.
Some of it shows tax, like taxes. It's tax exempt.
So taxes on the materials are exempt, but taxes the company has to pay are not.
As in what?
So, you know, for example, in the certified payrolls, the employees all have taxes, withheld from their paychecks. And the company as a whole, Bisco,
But isn't that in the $64?
yeah,
Your taxes?
the employees' taxes are, yeah.
Right. He had stuff on there charged for taxes. Just, a lot of it was assumed taxes too. That wasn't,
So when we, like I said, when we have an actual change order in front of us, we can look closer at those individual items and push back on them. But until I have a change order in front of me, and like I said, we're willing to sit down with the contractor and yourself, if you want to be the representative for the water department in that meeting, and request any backup we want on any of these items. But without the change order in front of us, what we've done is gone through these items to make sure that there's no double counting so far. That's been, in that the, percentages, for example, the FICA, the Medicare, the federal unemployment, the state unemployment, we reviewed those percentages to make sure they were in line with what we would expect, and they are. So again, when we have a change order in front of us, before it comes to you, we're gonna do our due diligence on it. The first pass is gonna be, do we agree with the, who was on site and how many hours they were on site? And then, do we agree with the materials that were used? And, are they charging you for tools they didn't actually use, that kind of thing?
Yeah, but that's the minimal stuff, James. The big thing is the labor. I mean, is it required to have a foreman on, not to Mark's
I mean,
point,
our contract says they must have a foreman on site or they can't work.
Yeah.
on site?
but
But this is a change order. If there's a foreman on site doing the piping or the other work that's related to the project, we don't need a foreman on for this change order, if there's one on site anyways. If they're required to have a foreman on the site to do the work of the contract, do they need another foreman to supervise the work for the extra?
Well, I mean,
So you have two foremen on the job?
no, because they're not, if they had two crews, one to do the change order work and one to do base bid work, then no.
I mean, I get it if they
There'd
came in,
still
on-
be
if there was nothing,
But
if there was
they're
no other
on
work going
site
on, they have to have a
today
foreman on the
for,
site.
Like tomorrow, for example, they're on site, the only reason they're coming on site tomorrow is to do this change order work. They're not doing any work from the other contract, right? So the foreman being on site is the result of the change order work.
But this work could have been done previously, since they've been doing it for the past 2 months. So now they
This work
decided
can't
to,
be done until they take the Manley Street offline. The change order is gonna be to go in to the vessels when we
Right.
take them up.
Yeah.
Take them out of service, and do the work on the vessel that has to be done so that they can be converted over to the Green Sand Plus. That's gonna be done, and it's separate as a change order, and this part's only gonna be done when that plant is offline to do it. So that if they're not doing anything else but that, they'll need a foreman
I
there
get
to
that.
oversee it.
That makes sense.
If they are doing other work,
Then there's no need to have two
then
foremen on the job.
there'd be the one foreman, and we can argue that about
Yep.
what time is being done, but if that's all, then that's where that goes in.
And to your point, once they have the plant shut down, we're gonna be on top of them to not be coming on site once a week, twice a week and drawing it out. Like, the only reason they're getting away with it right now is because, you know, we can't take the rest of the tanks offline anyway, so they're scheduling their welder to come Tuesday, because that's when they could get them there, and then, you know, they'll come back and do this when they can, but, you know, Barry and Victor have been working with the contractor, and, you know, Wayne's present at all these meetings as well, and a lot of time and effort has been put in on our end to coordinate all of that, to shorten the duration of the shutdown.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so like I said,
Well, where do we see the change order?
we're not done with this
Yeah,
yet, but we
yeah.
did want to show, you know, to answer some of the questions you had, which
Okay.
is, can you confirm they're not double dipping? Can you confirm that some of these percentages have, you know, basis, and they're not just throwing numbers at the wall? And we have been able to do that portion of the check. And then the next step is to get the change order in front of us, and, you know, we presume that they're gonna submit it with fair numbers for the labor and all of that, but, you know, it's our job to make sure that that's true.
We asked you a question and you couldn't answer it, so I'm just asking questions, that's all.
Yeah, and we welcome
You know,
questions,
I
and if I
just-
don't know the answer off the top of my head,
I get
I
it.
will get you answers.
But to me, whatever. It's right in the book, right there, all that stuff.
What's right in my book?
All the wages, everything. To me, a labor foreman isn't worth $110 an hour. No way.
All I have to go off is certified payrolls that show he's being paid.
And then frankly, as long as they're being paid more than the prevailing wage, and they're not being paid less than the prevailing wage, it's not a heck of a lot we can run on that.
Isn't it governed on the prevailing wage?
Prevailing wage is the minimum
Right.
wage for the class. They
Right,
can-
so you
they
can't
are-
just pick a
they-
number.
They are free to pay their people more than the minimum wage. The prevailing
But we
wage,
are not.
they are billing us for what they're paying to the contract based on the requirements of the contract. We're not paying their people directly. We have to pay
If
based
the guy
on,
wants $1 million, are we paying it?
we're not paying $1 million, but we can't tell him what to pay the person that's there directly either. Or tell them how they can staff their job. If you were doing this job for us and you had 3 people out there, I can't tell you to send one of them home. I can't tell you to pay one of them half of what you're paying them. That's kind of that's kind of where it's going. I know, and this stuff's a royal pain in the butt. And it's tough to follow all this stuff with how their numbers break up compared to where the taxes are and what's being deducted out of what supposedly it's the prevailing wage, but then they're taking the deductions for the taxes and stuff out of it, which to me almost looks like it's being double dipped, because according to this, that minimum wage, that prevailing wage is now, after the prevailing wage is being billed, they're taking out the taxes out of it. So it looks like if you're paying that, you shouldn't be billing for these
Exactly,
other
yeah.
taxes afterwards.
Right.
That
And that's
64 is the full boat.
And that's the way it shows up right in the prevailing wage sheets, the certified payroll. So I still have more wrapping my head around on that, but as far as the actual rate being paid, as long as they're paying more than the prevailing wage, you can't really do anything about it. If their foreman, maybe their foreman's not a strict labor foreman, maybe it's a foreman responsible for the whole site, and they're just carrying them because that's the rate of the guy that's there at the time. We can't control their staffing. But I still, if I look at the certified payroll, to where you're going as far as the percentages, they've got the rate of pay, gross amount earned, and then they're deducting the taxes out of the gross amount earned from the total pay rate, which is the prevailing wage rate. But then it looks like with this, they're adding on those taxes that they're pulling out
So I
over
can.
here. Not all of them, because
I'll
it
get
says,
some clarification on the state tax in the meantime, while we're waiting the change order.
Yep.
But the way Barry described it to me after going through it all, is that the stuff on the certified payroll are the things that the employee has to pay into and is being taken out of their paycheck, as opposed to the things here are money that BISCO is paying into programs as a result of operating their business. So
Well, as long
they
as-
have to provide workman's comp, right? So Hayden Howard, same thing, you know.
Yep.
Jenna is paying into the workman comp, you know, that's completely separate to the money that's taken out of my paycheck for Medicare or whatever, right? So it's kind of the same thing, whereas this form here is BISCO's cost to operate. So, you know, they have to pay into these state programs, they have to pay into.
We understand that, that's the law. We all have to do that as employers, we understand that.
Yeah, so,
What I don't understand is, see this?
yeah,
Why don't you have the labor rate from right out of the book and show all that? That's just written.
so this is the paperwork that they had to submit to, you know, the financial division of the DEP to get the project awarded. They have to show what is their cost to operate, more or less. What are their markups on their costs? So that's where this sheet comes from. But they didn't generate this because we asked. This is a financial document that's part of them being approved to do the work by DEP.
and that's where all goes up to that 68% labor burden. That's outside of what's concluded in the prevailing wage.
Right, because these aren't costs that BISCO is paying to employees. These are costs for BISCO to operate the business.
68%. 68%.
In the specifications.
It's a great markup.
It is a good markup. In the specifications, there's DEP policies, and I think it's policy 8 or 10, that has the markup that says they can put the labor cost, then the insurance cost, and then the overhead and profit cost when developing a change order. And it's an SRF project, so we have to include those DEP policies. And that's one of them as to how they derive the cost for change orders.
And we'll be the first ones to admit that Massachusetts public bidding is tough.
But
We will definitely check whoever's on the job, we will check to match up with the certified payrolls. I mean, that's really all that we can do is.
So the FICA Medicare in this list is the business portion of it, as opposed to the Social Security they have FICA listed in the payroll, that's what comes out of his individual one. The FICA Medicare on this is the extra that the business pays, that's separate from,
Right.
which I know of because I'm self-employed, so I pay myself both of them.
Well,
That there's double, but that's not double counting, that's the different share
Right, exactly. So the certified payroll is specific to the
that
employee.
he has that's not in the
These are
employee.
specific to the cost of operating the business.
On this prevailing wage, not union, prevailing wage, right? You give that gentleman $64.75 an hour. He's entitled to pay all those things. He gets it all in his check. I don't understand.
No, he gets- no,
He gets the whole
no.
amount in his check.
No, the check, the prevailing wage, they still take out the health,
Yeah, they'll take that.
the
There's base wage, health, pension, annuity,
and all that
supplemental
to
unemployment.
total is the total 64.65. The base wage for the prevailing wage for that, the laborer is 37.86, and they add the rest on top of it. The base wage for the laborer is not 64.65. Those aren't on,
You,
those aren't on the.
don't you?
Those aren't on that
Can't you
sheet.
choose if you want your healthcare paid? In your check?
Couldn't tell you on this. I know the way
If
they've
you-
got
if-
this.
If I'm an employee, right, I want all the money. I don't, right, I don't have to pay health insurance.
If I'm working for the town, I'm required to have health insurance, whether it's the town's or somebody else's, I have to have health insurance.
That isn't,
That's
that
contractual.
isn't what he's, what the guy's doing. Long as he has workman's comp, that guy is covered.
No, not for the health insurance,
I
they're not covered.
I said, you don't need health insurance.
You need help, by federal and state law, you need health insurance. You got no choice, how
Yeah.
you get it, but you've got no, when you file your taxes, you
This
have
point-
to have,
We don't have a change order yet, so
So we'll-
we'll get to that point.
but I mean, that's,
And
Yeah, but the
maybe-
employer doesn't have to pay it.
We have
You have
Barry or
to, you have to
somebody
have,
here
because of
at that
Obamacare, you
point.
have to have insurance, you're correct. But the employer doesn't have to pay for it.
No,
That's why I
but
think
if-
that's Mark's point.
yeah, no, but if if part of their normal thing is they pay the insurance and you have to opt out and buy it somewhere else, you
Yeah.
can, but that doesn't mean all the employees are doing it. But that's why
But
you have a base
if your
rate.
wife has it, right?
You can, I used to do this, you can opt out and go on your wife's plan or the other way, or however, but for what the rates we're talking about, when we look at the rate, he's got a base, and they add on the health and the donations to the bank,
Did you see
whatever
the
they put in.
second page of this?
That's, the
what ours
64
is.
something isn't the base labor rate prevailing wage for the laborer. The 37.86 is the prevailing wage, plus the benefits they have in there with the health and pension. And then the other things go on top of it. And like I said, I'm still trying to mix a couple of these around in my head, because they do look like they're getting it.
Yeah. And then-
They're in
on-
more than
that's
one
why-
place, but it's how they go through, and it's all audited by.
Yeah, and that's why
we
Barry
get this to be
suggested that he was willing to have a meeting with everybody, because, you know, we're not all employment lawyers, right? We're not, so, you know, he's been around the block, he's done this a bunch, he's he's reviewed certified payrolls for decades, and he's more than happy to sit down with anyone who's interested. We can do it in a room with the contractor, and you can ask the contractor directly, you know, any tough questions you want, you know.
Yeah, we're all employees at this table.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had payroll corporate paychecks for 30 years.
Yeah.
And these numbers that I'm looking at now, these are not the deductions that I see weekly when I get a gross payroll number from paychecks. These numbers are, I don't know where they come from.
And we're in the union, we're laborers and operators. I never could bill 68% for labor break, never. The GC just, whoop, line right through it. So that's why I'm confused.
Yeah, and-
Because if that's good, I'm gonna start doing it.
Well, you just have to bid on these type of jobs and do it on,
Really?
and do it on change orders.
Really? Okay. So,
Well, really.
I'm working behind someone's backyard.
We're trying to, we're not gonna pay them anything that if we figure out that they're not due the money for it.
Yeah. And we're willing to keep doing the work until you guys are convinced that you're getting a fair shake at it. You know, we're happy to keep asking the questions, keep providing data, set up meetings, you know, we're in this until you guys are confident that you're paying the right amount.
Okay.
But the intent would be, getting back to there, try to get them going so it's being worked on while we're waiting for the bag filter.
So I want to
To
see,
try to-
I want to see the lead time
depending on
on the
how it
bag
is.
filter. So we've been kind of pushing on that, because if the lead time is 30 days, it could work out that, you know, if we get the remaining materials in this week, it's gonna, you know, they get started on all the rehab work and then get the media, and the bag filter can be done completely on its own. So it potentially, and it's not a lot of work, so the idea would be that, you know, we might not have to hold them up at all if the bag filter lead time is reasonable. But if for some reason it's 2 months out, then that's when we're gonna have a conversation with Wayne, like what's the path of least resistance for you? You know, 2 shutdowns or holding off on the first shutdown? You know, there may be a time where the contractor says, you know, I need to be on site doing work, I can't be shut down for 2 months, but we're not there yet. So those are all the things that we kind of have to figure out once we know the lead time.
Okay, another question, the one where we're doing the work that's getting all this change order stuff fired up. That one's basically been sitting empty all this time. That tank, we weren't using that tank?
No, we're not, that's why we're.
Yeah,
we
that
can-
tank was just, basically just sitting there dry
Right.
for the whole time. Any chance that when we open up these other ones where they've been operating, that we're not gonna have the same problem in the bottom? Would we be able potentially to not be doing some of that, you think, or you think it'll probably be worse?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair question, right? Like, we assumed that where they're all the same age and they've all been running parallel, that they more or less would have the same miles on them.
Although that one hasn't been running,
Uh,
that's why I'm asking the question.
No, the third vessel, the vessel they took out was an in-production vessel.
I thought it was out of production for a while.
No.
Only the-
We
Oh,
only
Oh,
took
all right,
out-
I withdraw that then. I was under the impression that we had had that off for a
If
while.
anything, I'd expect the 100 tank to be the worst because it's the lead tank and it takes the most abuse.
Just looking for a way to maybe not do one of them if we didn't have to. Since-
That's the thing, right? We open it up, you know, Hungry Print Terry's got to do the inspection of those ones as well. And yeah, I mean, we don't know until we look in there.
Okay.
You know, we pretty much had to redo all of it in the first tank. So, you know, the risk of the other ones being worse is pretty low. But I also don't want to say they'll be better because, you know, there's no way to know with any certainty.
No, you won't know until it's being done, but.
And then the other piece is, so I also handed out a project budget summary. This is our budget. And I mentioned this last time I was here. Just like this.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I buried it under the certified payroll book.
So, kind of goes back to, you know, Wayne had asked us for an update on what our costs are because it impacts where the ARPA is being spent. And so if you look, we are, you know, what I'm showing here is the project base. The first line is contract. That's our contract with the water department. So the budget, you know, is $547,000. What we've billed to date is the $330,000. And then what we're estimating it to take us to complete the work is $90,000. So as you can see, right now we're trending about $120,000 under budget. So it's obviously, you know, good news because that's, you know, money that, you know, you will never spend. But it does impact a little bit the ARPA conversation because if, you know, we have this chunk of ARPA money and the intent was use it to pay for the engineering because you can't pay for engineering with SRF. And then the leftover ARPA was going to be used to pay for some of the construction. That way it doesn't go on your SRF loan and you don't have to fund it through that. So this is an additional $120,000 that instead of being paid to us would leave ARPA funds to pay for some of the construction of the
Which
project.
is money we wouldn't be borrowing through the SRF.
So that's money you now no longer have to borrow for SRF. And then that also goes, and so this kind of moves the needle, Wayne, where, you know, we've been talking with Barry and Victor, that we gotta watch, you know, where we are with our billing, so we don't accidentally get reimbursed too much from SRF where we're now with ARPA we're not spending. So that's kind of the update on that. But one thing we did just kind of want to note is, you know, where the money is being spent between the construction admin and the RPR. Even though we're, you know, considerably under budget overall, you know, the buckets we have it in is largely in the RPR. So that's our, you know, what the fee we have to be on site watching. Is, you know, under budget, but the time in the office, right now we're trending a little over. And most of that has come from the extra coordination of the shutdowns. And then also the design of the bag filter. So I guess what we just wanted to confirm is that, you know, our contract is for the 457, we're gonna be under budget. but the way it shows up on your invoices is 2 different phases, so we were hoping just to flip some up from the RPR to the CA, just to, you know, make the accounting work, so to speak. So we would, you know, flip up, you know, about 36,540. And then ultimately, like you said, the project will still be that $126,000.
So we'll still be coming in under budget. By even that using your 36,000 less than 127, we're still talking like 90,000.
Yeah, it just allows us to continue to use Barry and Victor to do that work as opposed to having to have Derek, who is our RPR, you know, pick up the load, so to speak.
Why is the RPR that low?
I mean, as you know,
Just the way they've been
SRF
working.
requires us to price these projects out for full time. And what we told you at the beginning of this project is we gotta go after it this way because that's the SRF requirement. But we're gonna keep, you know, we know the way you guys have all of these projects going, that we're not gonna have somebody sitting on site.
there's nobody
because we
there.
don't need to be on
Right,
site.
that doesn't make sense.
And so we've done half days, we've had
Yep.
Barry cover days.
So it's just
Who's
been the
gonna be
way
on
that,
site anyway.
their progress has been going compared to what you were
Yeah,
covering.
so it's just, you know, we're looking for efficiencies in the way, you know, we'll be out here. For example, Victor has had to come out to do various things, and so he just does the RPR that day, instead of having to send Derek out to watch something when we have somebody out here
How
anyway.
much is that a day for Victor to show up? What do you bill for Victor for the day?
When he comes out for RPR, he bills the RPR rate, right?
And how much is that? 500, 200?
We'll go back and check the bills, and if not, we'll send them back.
Yeah, you can.
I don't know if
It's more than a
Can't be more than
labor.
labor.
It's more than a labor foreman.
It might-
Probably.
Yeah, but no 68% connected to it.
Right.
But the construction admin rate and the RPR rate, you bill depending on what he's doing, not billing his rate.
Right.
Depend,
Right, the RPR
Straight.
rate is usually a lower.
Lower
rate, the
multiplier.
Because, I hate to bring this up, because the overhead is less on an RPR because of
He doesn't have to pay the 5.5%
the
sales
way that
tax?
it works out for typical RPRs. They don't have overhead associated with an office space, right? Because they're a field person, they have a different overhead rate, is at least how we do it.
Okay.
And I guess too, we count the number of contract days that are in the contracts, and we assume the contractor is using it, we're gonna be out every second of it, just to be conservative, because SRF requires full-time RPR, and we just need to make it work, contractors.
and there's been no times that they're working unsupervised
Correct.
out there. We've had somebody there whenever they're working.
Yep.
So for just rough numbers, your estimate to complete, that's your total that your field is gonna be more coming from your engineering side, and that'll be the total, $180,000.
So,
I'm trying to,
yeah, so the top row is almost kind of the total of the other two, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, so we think there's, you know, essentially $45,000 of office work left, and about $45,000 of on-site work left.
yeah,
So that total, there's about $90,000 of work
right.
left.
All right.
So even with, you know, the flip up, so to speak, that's taken into account with us being $126,470 under budget.
All right, so there's 811,000 in the ARPA, which if you deduct that 180, there's 631,000 to go towards construction.
Okay. Can you say that number again for me?
631,000.
Okay.
That's why we're about to go into the big final push, and all of those big, you know, and they were really good in the beginning, they were out over $1 million waiting to be paid forever. So, but I know things will become fast and furious now. So that's why we wanna make sure we spend out the free money.
I mean, exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. We were just trying to avoid the situation where we spend it in the middle of the project and then go
Yeah,
back.
no, I know.
And then DEP's asking all these questions about,
And I wouldn't have said anything except you would calculate it out, so I'm like, all right, I'm spitballing in my head here.
and I understand.
So, Wayne, I have a question, what's the 180?
So I totaled up your estimate number to complete.
Yep,
So you've got 45.
Oh,
It's
45,
90
but
is
it's
the
90,
total.
okay,
90
sorry,
yeah.
is the
The
total.
45 and the 45 is the 90.
Yep.
It's not what
So
it
it's not
is.
with the, on top of the 90 above it, so that,
The 90's the total.
oh. so
They
that's
put the
number-
total at the
Yeah.
top instead of the bottom.
Oh,
Yeah, so you have
Sorry.
more.
you were adding, I thought it was because there's constructed min, there's RPI, I
RPI.
thought it was totals for all three of them.
Sorry, no, yeah, so the top row is like our, you know, our contract with you is that number.
All right.
But then we have two sub-phases to that number, and I now see that my presentation is a little wonky.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's why we ask questions, so 721,
721 you have.
yes, there's a lot of money there. So.
That's all right,
at
we'll
some
go
point we need-
through it fast enough in construction.
Yeah, so at some point we need them to stop right into that SRF. 'Cause-
So that's, yeah, so we've been keeping Barry and Vector on top of that, so they know the number not to go down, but I have to give them that new number then.
I mean, it might be the same paperwork, it just gets turned into the ARPA.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and then I guess the other piece too is, you know, once we have the number on the bag filter, we're gonna have to come present that to you and make sure you're happy with that.
I like insurance since we
Well,
wasted the other meter.
Well,
Right, and then
considering
you
what
can-
happened during startup, we need to do something to make sure that's gonna deal, and what, the only other thing you could do would be to just dump it to waste.
Right, you
Until
just
it.
run
and
the
we can-
plant right out to waste and see what happens, if it burps up anything prior to.
Cause that's, once those are in for the PFAS units, we don't wanna, we definitely don't wanna take a chance on having that come across again.
Yeah, we
the way
agree
that-
wholeheartedly, yeah. You know, and where you have the ARPA funds too, you know.
Right. You also have the ECSDC grant sitting out there for 3.1.
Yeah,
But I was thinking that the last I remember, when I sat in that meeting, we were supposed to receive a letter to proceed. I'm not sure we ever received that.
trying to remember the last correspondence I was
And
copying.
the last thing was.
Sometimes they send it to you, sometimes they copy us.
I don't think I ever saw one. I mean, I can,
I know it was approved because.
Right.
It was brutal.
yeah, without a doubt, you guys did great rewriting that thing umpteen time. Every time you got it in, it's like they wanted
Yeah.
to kick out something else and had you rewrite the whole thing again.
Did you get a contract, like with the standard terms from Mass DEP on that? So we have another 2 communities with it, and they
Yeah.
send you a contract.
For the
with What the
ESD.
scope is and the standard terms, did you get that?
If we did, he has it.
Notebooks away right and left.
Nope, you need those.
It'll be,
Until we pay the notes off.
Long after we're gone.
Yeah.
I should've brought my glasses. I'm not sure, I know that we were approved.
Yep.
Yeah, that I'm confident of as well. I just can't recall seeing any correspondence that I was copied on after they acknowledged the approval.
Yeah, I just remember sitting in that meeting.
I'll write a note to myself to check.
Before you go on vacation.
Well, I'll be checking.
It's a long list.
I say if that never came in, we need to tie that down.
Okay, yeah.
See if they
If
can
I don't
check
have
it.
anything, I'll let you know.
Yeah, because I have a name of a person that I can reach at the program.
Okay.
Well, they were pretty responsive there.
Yeah. There was an Andrew, I forget his last name on the correspondence, he was
Yeah,
super
there's a woman,
responsive.
somebody, can't think of her name. I saw her enough times that it. Find her email.
Too many things.
Yeah. Abigail Jacob,
Okay, that's a different person.
yeah, Abigail Jacobs, and then there's Michael McGrath,
Okay.
Schwartz, McLaughlin, yeah, those are all Mass
Okay.
DEP.
Okay.
We'll check.
I'll see what my last correspondence was, and if it isn't a contract, I'll I'll let you know. Then if you didn't get anything directly from them, then we can reach out.
All right, I could have another, I might have another notebook too.
Because they will email you a reimbursement form that's already, like with the standards and the progress report with
Yep.
all of their numbers
Yeah.
that they need it coded based on the contract, the
Right.
standard terms, so.
Yep.
So you may either got missed in an email maybe, or,
Possibly. I know we're approved and we have the 3.9.
Yeah, I just can't
Yeah.
remember if the approval included that or not. But I'll check tomorrow.
okay.
Do you guys have anything else for us?
I think we've beaten a lot of it to death pretty well. So we'll see Wednesday, the bid opening, and see how that goes, and hopefully we'll have good numbers, and you'll do 1 week to do your recommendation, and hopefully it'll be whoever's low, and it's not gonna be
Yeah,
a
hopefully,
fight.
hopefully it's no.
on
No
anything like-
contesting or anything?
Yeah.
Contesting the other bid?
That will hold us up
Oh, yeah.
right off the
Okay, the good
bat.
news is everyone's pre-qualified, right? So our due diligence is a little bit lighter on this one. And you're right, so the references have all been called, financial
Yeah.
paperwork, all of the, so.
So we know they can get their bonds and
includes-
everything else, there
Yeah,
won't be any
exactly, so we
issues.
know, yeah, it should be, you know, I'm gonna jinx it.
When were they pre-qualified? How long ago? 6 months or 6 weeks?
No, it's more
Is
than
that February, January,
Yeah.
February?
It was early in the year, I remember
Yeah.
going through the pre-qual and the sub-bids, and then you guys,
Yeah.
you followed up with the generals right after that.
Right,
Yeah,
So it would have been right about the beginning of the year.
As long as they didn't get disqualified another job, we shouldn't have any problems.
Well,
That's 5 months.
that'll show up if they did, and,
I'm not sure they could get disqualified.
In 5 months?
Exactly.
All right,
we
okay.
didn't disqualify the guy that did no school. But I don't want to say that loud enough for the microphones to pick up.
We will check.
No, and if not, we'll have the notice of award for our next meeting.
Go for it.
yeah, yeah, so Jenna and or Katie would cover that one.
Yep,
And then I'll be back at the following one with the notice to proceed in the agreement.
Okay.
And then, yeah, while I'm out, you know, the day-to-day, you know, Katie, you know, is around, then Jenna's on.
Yeah, I mean, shouldn't be too much picking up in there as long as we're not trying to throw a bidder out, I suspect. We should be in decent shape.
If I pass through a zone with, you know, cell coverage, hopefully they'll send me results. Only if they're good. Let me live in ignorant bliss. of it.
You're just gonna shut your phone, who you kidding? Your phone goes off, unreachable.
No, we don't expect
No,
anyone to
I mean-
be disqualified as a
No,
bidder, as a pre-qual.
Yeah,
It should be,
Okay,
shouldn't run into issues.
all right, I think we can allow you to leave if you would like, unless anyone, if you have any other questions for them.
negative.
All right, well, as always, thanks for your time, appreciate it. And we'll see,
I'll see you on the board.
we will see you in 2
Yep.
weeks. I will see you in 4 weeks.
4th. Wow.
Oh, we gotta sign in before we leave.
Yeah, don't forget to
Well, thank you.
sign in as you leave. Yeah. that gives us-
All right.
Okay, then moving right along, on new business, regulation inspection of backflow preventers. I do notice we paid for the classes tonight for the backflow
Yeah,
certification.
they haven't received their results yet. But, you know, a lot of it is just going into a building and surveying,
Yeah,
but a lot of that comes under the jurisdiction of the plumbing.
Yep.
So they can make recommendations. It's really just meeting DEP's things, their rules and regulations that we survey X amount. So it'll be having Deborah print out a list of all of the commercial industrial properties and then determining how many years we want to spread it out over. So it's not encompassing all of her time or any of the guys' time.
yeah. We have 2 people certified, right?
Yes.
Her and,
Yep,
who's the other one?
Brian Crowell.
Brian? Okay. And then we'll be able to get that done for DEP without
Yep.
having to pay out.
Yeah, next year, our annual report will be compliant.
Okay. Right, no other new business. Old business, the ZBA appeal is just, they're kind of negotiating a couple of last bit things to try to make it go away. But there's nothing specific to report right now. Okay, superintendent's job description, I did take some time with the stuff that you had put together, pulled some of it into different categories as far as what's more management versus, because you cover an awful lot. And then when I heard that we weren't doing the meeting Wednesday night, I kind of lost,
Yeah.
that dropped lower on my list, but I did start going through some of it, try to start breaking that down a bit and figuring it out. Need to hire 3 people when you go.
Well, it probably doesn't need a CDL, that's what you have guys for.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, this stuff, I mean, I was
Right.
thinking that when they did the Public Works Director one, when I was doing, helping doing the interviews with that, it's like a lot of the things on that list don't really apply for a superintendent's job.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of that with this,
Yeah.
to kind of take a look at it. Try to refine it better down. That's the problem, you're a working superintendent that came up through
Yeah,
and did all that stuff anyway.
well, I've had all new guys my entire tenure, so
Yeah.
I've never been able to get away from it.
Okay, water restrictions. How's our water use been going?
So, I guess I'm like a broken record, but with 15 months to go, the rehab of the Norman Ave well puts us in a better spot. You have 3 wells that are running in single digits above the probe, which means that your aquifers are down. Like, the town is building out, there's another subdivision gonna go in off of Bryan Street, that's 12 houses, I believe, in there. If everybody keeps putting in these sprinkler systems and they are all non-compliant, well, then eventually you're gonna run the wells down. There's been no new wells. Those wells exist as long as I've walked this planet, so they've been in production 66 years. That's a long time to get out of the wells, and you haven't added any sources.
And the
So
way
it's
DEP is looking at the groundwater, we're not likely to get
Right.
much in the way of new sources.
Right, well, as long as you're looking for redundancy, not
Yeah.
thing, and you're not gonna have, because Manley Street won't be able to cover the town, so if Sierra Norman has to go down during the summertime, you're in trouble, because Manley can't. The driveway well is really running in single digits. The only reason it's up in the single digits right now is because we're running at a reduced flow, we only have 2 filters online. So it's running slow purposefully, but when it comes up, normally if it comes back up at like 300 to 400 gallons a minute, that driveway well is gonna run at about 3 feet. It's down. So, it does, could all come off of the thing, I'm just warning you. hopefully
How the
it's
actual
wrong.
water use been running? What have we been pumping?
We're right around, I haven't looked, I didn't add up, but we're bumping right around 1 million when we get into the hot days.
Has it been dropping off at all in the rain, or what rain we've had?
No, because it's
not-
hard to tell, because you have a catch-up day or a not day,
Yeah.
and plus, we had, Norman Ave offline, so we set Manley Street because it's every 12 hours for backwash, so that I didn't have people trying to figure out when the next batch, we set it on 24/7 for the last 2 weeks, so the guys were coming in at night to backwash it, to keep it running, so we ran that
Okay.
constantly, and then we buffered it with Remain Station 4. So, we made it through the 2 weeks with ease, and we had one hiccup, we've learned that I wish we had the same VFDs in every building, so when this one out here trips, there's no resets, you physically, I discovered by accident, you have to physically throw the big breaker on the big panel and that resets it.
Resets it?
Yeah, so we got it back.
They don't have a separate reset on the VFD.
There's a reset button there, I don't know what it does, it doesn't seem to do anything, it didn't reset the thing, and shutting it off, powering it down by itself didn't, it still stayed alive, but throwing the big breaker sure did it.
How long has that VFD been there?
That's probably about 2 years.
Too long for that we can claim that they need
Yeah,
to come
we
back
can't
and
claim
take care of
The
it.
thing has been nothing but a piece of crud since, we didn't get any nameplate data out of, because he was the low bidder on the wells. Well, I guess that company, it's been since bought up, is known for not giving any documentation. So when the electricians came to program the drives, they had no nameplate data to program in. The feeling is that VFD, the 20 plus one, is the wrong, there's something wrong inside for it. So we run that at 80% to keep it within spec. We can see the amperage drop, so it trips at 27. That's what it did, a hard fault. When it started up, it hard faulted at 27 amps and stayed out. When I did the hard reset, it came back up. We're running about 20 amps right now. We turned it down so we don't hit that amperage again.
That on the 5-year plan or the 10-year plan to replace and get it
Well, I
working?
think that when they come through, they're gonna be replacing
One
parts.
big discussion.
I should have asked them now if they were replacing the VFDs, because they're gonna change the pumps. The pumps are gonna not be able to pump against the system. That's what makes turning on this new plant so hard. As they rehab the wells and change them over, they no longer have the capability to push out into the system. So once they're changed over, the only place they can go is to that air tower, because they don't have the capability for back
To go
pressure.
direct.
They're free flow. So that's why they have to, Station 4 will be the last one to be done. Norman Ave and Station 1, and hopefully we can feed that in and feed it out at a slower rate to make up for it. And then they'll do Station 4 at the end.
Maybe get that repaired at this, taken care of at the same time.
Right.
Been doing any just drive-by looks and see how if the sprinklers are going overboard or
Few violators.
a few?
Yeah, I can. Well, I have the same route every day. I come down Spring
Yeah.
Street, I come down Harvestwood, just
Yeah.
like John, and I see the same houses non-compliant.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna ask, what the hell are you guys doing up at 5:30 in the morning? Because I had to get up at 5:30 to pull samples one day, and there's Mark driving by me. He doesn't wave at 5:30 in the morning. Neither does John.
I know, after you go by, it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like then it dawns on you who you just drove by.
Yeah, because I had to pull samples, and I had to do it before it got backwash, so I had to get up early to do it. It was easy to drive around town.
Okay. So then third-tier water rates, that partly in response to the ones that never
Yep.
shut their sprinkler.
Problem, Joe.
I mean, we gotta look at the water rates coming up anyway, once
Right.
we get a better idea on what all this crap, what's gonna cost. And what we're gonna get for free, what we're gonna have to pay back for
It's either that
loans.
or make people with sprinkler systems, register them so that we can look to make sure that they have backflow preventers on them. And if they're registered, they give us a phone number and an email address so we can tell them, all right, you have to comply with the compliance. We don't wanna do enforcement, you just wanna do compliance, comply.
Yeah,
On the water.
well, enforcement it's hard with those things. And everything you hear, you talk to other towns. Oh, yeah, they'll add a rate, they'll make it higher. It works for a very short time.
Right.
And they just get back into using it. So it's almost like you need a way to identify them, notify them.
Right. We're not trying to, like, if you look at other towns, most towns around us, you're not allowed to water at all.
Yeah,
That these people are still allowed to water is a blessing, and then
Yeah.
I got a well-respected town employee on Harvestwood who just throws his big sprinklers out there in the middle of the day and waters for hours on end.
Well, if it's a problem, send them a fine. And let's move on.
We can take it off, you're not gonna hit, 15 months, I think I can make it.
no.
Then we can
No,
stop
but we-
beating a
I
dead
mean-
horse.
then we'll have to deal with something in terms of either coming up with a cost, some cost somehow, if it starts getting to the point we can't produce the water. That's when it kills. Because we need
Give
the,
them one
we need,
warning and then,
we need the money from selling the water, so we don't wanna not sell the water. And that's why when we look at the rates, we have to get more and more onto not relying on the excess water, but if you got times when people won't, if you don't like your fly landing on your head, don't bring it in with you.
No comment, I'm on the hot mic.
Well, when we do the new rates, maybe we'll just see if we can't hit something else as a way of some kind of a penalty. I mean, because if we know they're there, you can always go throw a handbill up on their door.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of the people that are doing that don't know they're doing it anyway.
Well, they're gonna say that the sprinklers are on here, automatic timing and all this stuff, and they're unaware because they take off to go to work and all this, so, I mean, it's probably the
just write
case.
a letter to
Yeah.
them. Stick it on their mailbox. Do a mailing to everybody.
We've done that.
I didn't get it. Mine's
That's
still-
what everybody says.
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
Unless it's certified,
If you read your CCR,
it is not.
it's right on the back.
Yep. And if it's not certified, you can deny that you got
Yeah.
it.
I can make it
But-
now.
So if you put it in their mailbox, then
You
it's all
can't.
good.
You can't.
Like you
Can't,
just
well,
said.
you
That's a
can't
federal
put it in their
crime.
mailbox, because it is, yeah, technically, you can't put anything in someone's mailbox that hasn't
In
got
the
a.
town I live in, they're just like, how much is it? I'm just gonna write you a check right here.
Yeah.
I don't even care.
Well, it's one of those regional meetings I
Yeah,
went
that's-
to.
And that would be it.
The guys in North Rainham were saying the same thing, that they'll have someone come in and just give them a big check and say, let me know when it runs out.
Right.
So, you know, even the third tier, higher rates aren't gonna probably do it for certain of them. They won't. And you can only go so far with what you're gonna do. Okay, so if that horse is dead,
Looks good.
anybody have anything else they wanna bring up tonight? Joanne or Mark?
Nope, I've got nothing, I'm gonna make a motion.
Next meeting is
Oh.
Monday, August.
August
I
4th.
have reached out to a local business owner about getting CDLBs for the guys.
Getting what's?
CDLBs. I have 4 people that don't have,
Oh, okay, yeah.
so, said that.
I thought they were supposed to get it when they got hired.
No,
That's not in the requirements.
no.
Maybe we should
We're
do that.
chemists, we're not truck drivers.
But you got equipment, Wayne.
Yes.
So if you're moving
In
it,
the-
if you're moving it around, then you
In the
should have.
past, we were trained, like I sponsored Randy, but the registry changed their laws that we can't do that anymore. We used to just do it ourselves, and the registry changed the laws. You can't do that anymore.
Do what?
I can't take somebody up and sponsor them to get their CDL. We used to just do it right here with town trucks, but you're not allowed to do that anymore. The registry changed the laws. You have to go through a school. So that's why I spoke with a local business owner. Everybody knows him, great guy. Said he'd work with us probably not until around September, which is fine.
But right now, we do have someone's licensed who can drive the truck.
We have 2 licenses here, plus there's
Yep.
the DPW guys, there's a few licenses up there too.
You use the DPW guys?
Yeah.
Well, and anytime there's a break or something like that, there's always
Yeah.
assistance on that as well.
All right, motion to
So-
adjourn, 6:25.
Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Any
Aye.
further discussion? Anybody opposed? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.